Every single day, more than 100 million barrels of oil are transported across the globe, weaving a complex web that fuels our economies and keeps the world running. These tankers traverse vast oceans, connecting distant continents and ensuring that energy reaches every corner of the planet. This constant flow of energy shapes our modern lives in ways we often take for granted. From the lights that illuminate our cities at night, to the cars and trains that move millions of people each day, to the factories that produce the goods we rely on, oil is the invisible force powering it all. Yet, despite its global reach, much of this vital flow is funneled through a handful of narrow maritime choke points. The Strait of Hormuz, for example, is just 21 miles wide at its narrowest, but it carries nearly a fifth of the world's oil supply. These bottlenecks are the arteries of global trade, but they are also its greatest vulnerabilities. These choke points are fragile, and any disruption, whether from military conflict, piracy, or political standoffs, can send shockwaves through the global economy. A single incident can cause oil prices to spike overnight, affecting everything from transportation costs to the price of food. For decades, nations have invested heavily in building powerful navies, forging alliances, and shaping entire foreign policies around the protection of these crucial sea lanes. The security of energy supplies has been a driving force behind international relations and military strategy. The underlying assumption has always been clear: whoever controls the waves controls the world's energy, and by extension, its destiny. Maritime dominance has long equaled geopolitical power, but what if that assumption is about to be upended? The inauguration of the China-Iran Railway in 2025 marks a bold and direct challenge to this centuries-old maritime order. For the first time, a major overland route offers a viable alternative to the sea. This new land corridor bypasses the world's most perilous choke points, providing a safer and potentially more reliable path for energy transport. It promises to reduce the risks associated with maritime bottlenecks and reshape the logistics of global trade. The so-called Iron Silk Road could reroute a significant share of global energy flows, redrawing the map of power and influence. As trade patterns shift, new alliances and rivalries may emerge, changing the balance of global energy politics. The tyranny of the choke points, which has shaped the world for generations, may finally be facing a real and lasting challenge. The future of energy and the fate of nations could be decided not just at sea, but on rails crossing continents. The China-Iran Railway is a cornerstone of Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative, stretching from Iran's Persian Gulf ports through Central Asia to China's Xinjiang province. For China, it's about energy security, escaping the vulnerability of maritime choke points like Malacca. For Iran, it's an economic lifeline, bypassing sanctions and connecting directly to its largest customer. The railway is a high-capacity corridor built for heavy freight and oil, tunneling through mountains and deserts. Central Asian nations benefit too, gaining transit fees and new trade opportunities. This Iron Silk Road is more than infrastructure. It's a new artery of commerce and energy, shifting the region's role in global trade. The stage is set for a new geopolitical landscape. For decades, the world's oil supply from the Persian Gulf has relied on vast sea routes, threading through narrow maritime choke points like the Strait of Hormuz and the Suez Canal. These vital arteries have long been the lifeblood of global energy, connecting oil-rich nations to distant markets across continents. But these sea lanes come with significant risks: delays from congestion, threats of piracy, and sudden price spikes triggered by geopolitical tensions or blockades. Every shipment faces uncertainty, with billions of dollars at stake. Now, a new chapter is unfolding. The China-Iran Railway offers a groundbreaking alternative. Here, oil is offloaded at Iranian ports and swiftly transferred onto trains, bypassing the vulnerable bottlenecks of Hormuz and Malacca entirely. This overland route is transforming the way energy moves across Asia. The rail journey slashes delivery times to just 10 to 12 days, less than half the duration of the traditional sea voyage. This speed is a game changer for both suppliers and buyers. Faster delivery means less capital tied up in transit, lower insurance and storage costs, and a dramatic reduction in exposure to maritime risks. The financial benefits ripple through the entire supply chain. The railway's capacity is impressive. It can move up to 1 million barrels of oil each day. While this is still only a fraction of China's massive total imports, it marks a significant shift in the global energy landscape. Along the route, new inland terminals and sprawling refineries are rapidly emerging. These developments are turning previously landlocked nations into vital energy hubs, reshaping regional economies and trade patterns. As more oil flows by rail, the strategic importance of traditional maritime chokepoints like Hormuz and Malacca is beginning to fade for this corridor. The balance of power is subtly shifting inland. The global map of energy is being redrawn before our eyes. Steel rails now challenge the centuries-old dominance of the sea, ushering in a new era of overland energy trade and connectivity. For the United States, the China-Iran Railway is a strategic headache. American power in the Middle East has relied on controlling sea lanes and using sanctions to pressure adversaries like Iran. The railway undermines both. It's immune to naval blockades and operates outside the US-dominated financial system. Iran now has a stable revenue stream, and other sanctioned nations may follow suit. The cost of maintaining a massive naval presence is harder to justify when rivals can bypass the sea. The railway creates a backdoor for China's energy, complicating US military planning. It also deepens the Sino-Iranian alliance, tempting others to hedge away from a US-centric world. America's traditional tools, naval power and sanctions, are losing their edge in a world of new land corridors. For Europe, the China-Iran Railway adds complexity to an already fragile energy landscape. While it could stabilize prices by reducing the risk of maritime disruptions, it also strengthens China and a sanctions-defying Iran. The project exposes a growing rift between Europe and the US over how to handle Iran. With Iran less reliant on Western negotiations, Europe's leverage is weakened. Meanwhile, China's influence grows, and Europe must adapt to new networks that bypass its traditional role. The energy axis is shifting from west to east, forcing Europe to rethink its strategies. The continent is no longer at the center of the energy map. The China-Iran Railway is shaking up Middle Eastern politics. For Iran's rivals, like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, it's a threat, giving Iran secure revenue and reducing their leverage. In response, Gulf states are deepening ties with China, even as they maintain security links with the US. The region is becoming multi-aligned, with old alliances blurring and new partnerships emerging. Shared economic interests with China could encourage de-escalation, but Iran's empowerment may also fuel new conflicts. China's growing role as mediator and investor is changing the balance of power. The Middle East is entering an era where the Iron Silk Road redraws alliances and rivalries. For Asia, the China-Iran Railway is a game-changer, especially for China. It solves Beijing's Malacca dilemma, providing a land route for oil that can't be blocked by hostile navies. This boosts China's confidence and strategic freedom, making it less vulnerable to energy blackmail. For Japan and South Korea, however, the railway offers little benefit. They remain dependent on maritime routes protected by the US Navy. This divergence could push them to strengthen their own navies and alliances, deepening regional competition. The race for energy security in Asia is now about controlling both barrels and the routes they travel. China's new corridor gives it an edge, forcing others to rethink their vulnerabilities. The competition for energy routes is reshaping Asia's strategic landscape. The China-Iran Railway is more than steel and tracks. It's a geopolitical tool. It binds China, Iran, and Central Asian nations into a bloc with shared interests, challenging Western influence. Central Asia gains leverage and economic value, but also falls deeper into China's orbit. This is a new model of international relations, built on infrastructure and investment rather than military alliances. China's no-strings-attached approach is attractive to countries sidelined by the West. The world is splitting one sphere led by US maritime power, the other by China's land-based networks. The Iron Silk Road is a symbol of this new competition, where power is measured in rails as much as warships. The opening of the China-Iran Railway marks a turning point in global energy. For the first time in decades, a direct overland route now connects two of the world's most influential energy players, reshaping how oil and goods move across continents. This isn't just a new railway. It's a bold statement about shifting alliances and ambitions in the 21st century. It challenges the dominance of traditional maritime routes, creating a land bridge that bypasses the world's most vulnerable choke points, like the Suez Canal and the Strait of Hormuz. By offering a faster, more secure alternative, this railway could reduce the risks of piracy, blockades, and political instability that have long haunted sea transport. This single project is forcing a strategic rethink from Washington to Brussels to Riyadh and Tokyo. Governments and corporations are now reassessing their energy security strategies, supply chains, and diplomatic priorities in light of this new reality. For China and Iran, it's a triumph, a symbol of growing independence and cooperation. For the US, it's a setback, as its influence over global energy flows is challenged. For Europe and Asia, it presents both opportunities for diversification and a new set of logistical and political challenges to navigate. The railway has created a new axis of power across Eurasia, outside the traditional US-led system. It's not just about moving oil. It's about forging new economic corridors, strengthening regional ties, and shifting the balance of power on the world stage. The age of unchallenged maritime dominance is over. Steel rails now rival sea lanes as the backbone of global trade. This shift could reshape industries, alter trade balances, and redefine what energy security means for nations everywhere. As the world's energy map is redrawn, the question remains: will these new routes bring greater stability and cooperation? Or will they spark new rivalries and competition for control? The stakes have never been higher. The era of the Iron Silk Road has begun, ushering in a period of uncertainty and possibility. The future of energy security is up for grabs, and the world is watching to see who will shape it.